cleanliness is next to godliness, was the Industrial Revolution an invention of the devil? When did the unwashed masses start to wash, and why? If they washed, did they cease to be hoi polloi? These and other questions will be answered right after this. I am Professor Jerome Arkenberg, and I've been teaching a wide variety of history courses at colleges across this country for the past 30 years. In this video, I'm going to tell you about why the great unwashed started to wash, how the Industrial Revolution lowered the cost of clothing, so even the poor started to wear more than rags, how medical advances exacerbated an already growing population, and how this booming population led to increasing labor strife, a raft of utopian schemes, and outright war. At the end, I'll have the wrap-up quote on this video, so make sure to stick around to the end to find that out. But first, make sure to click like, share, and especially subscribe, and that little bell thingy, so I can continue to bring you more great videos just like this one. Personal hygiene in pre-industrial Europe was incredibly poor, in part because soap was unknown, in part because bathing more than twice a year was heavily discouraged. Plus, few had more than one outfit of clothing, usually wool, washed no more than twice a year, worn 24/7, so people were constantly beset by lice and other parasites, even if they did daily wash their face and hands, without soap, of course. But scientific and industrial advances in chemical production from the mid-19th century made soap cheap for the very first time, and combined with advertising by soap makers, much of which was racist, as you can see here, Pear's soap, and was apparently so powerful, they said, that it'll take the black right off of, well, you can see that. Anyway, this created demand for soap and for regular bathing, for which few had seen any previous need. And for example, here, this great one, hand sapolio. This one right here, for toilet and bathing. Note that it says, the first step away from self-respect is lack of care and personal cleanliness. The first move in building up a proper pride in man, woman, or child is a visit to the bathtub. You can't be healthy or pretty or even good unless you are clean. And that is really the first time anyone had ever been saying something like that, at least in Europe. Suddenly, people of all classes began to bathe and shower, and the Saturday night bath, followed by a night out, became a regular ritual for the working classes. And even if you could not have a bathtub in your own home, public baths like this one here in Chicago suddenly began to appear, where you, men, women, could go and get clean. Of course, remember, they're not only taking their bath on Saturday night, the rest of the week is all dirt, but hey, it's a big advance. The appearance of soap, soon followed by washing machines, also affected laundering practices. And now even the workers regularly washed their clothing more than a few times a year. The lower cost of textiles allowed clothing to be laundered after only 2 or 3 wearings. And even though they might wear out sooner from more frequent washing, cloth was now so cheap that even the poor could afford 2 outfits, their work outfit and Sunday best. And after the mid-19th century, medicine started to come into grips with killer diseases such as diphtheria, scarlet fever, whooping cough, typhoid, malaria, yellow fever, chickenpox, measles, smallpox, influenza, which allowed both rich and poor throughout the West to expect to lead healthier and longer lives. The average age of death rose from 35 in the year 1800 to 47 in the year 1900 and to 65 by 1950. This meant both more young and old people alive than ever before, which, however, put severe strain on societies geared to higher mortality, leading to greater competition for increasingly scarce jobs. So, besides disputes over working hours, conditions, and pay, populations rising faster than jobs could be created led to industrial strife and unrest, and demands for social welfare schemes of all kind, which I talk about more in my socialism scheme. Nations began worrying about overpopulation. Some encouraged their excess population to emigrate, while others demanded living space, Lebensraum, for their people at the expense of other countries. Mass production solved some of this in terms of a faster rising population than jobs could be created. And mass production was pioneered by manufacturers of the newfangled bicycle before being taken up by Henry Ford in his car factories, the assembly line. Yes, sorry to say, Henry Ford did not invent the assembly line. While the assembly line further lowered the cost of goods, leading to more buying, production, and jobs, it also turned workers into little more than automatons on a scale never before seen, just cogs in a machine. The wrap-up quote. The work required neither skill nor much exertion, consisting of a few constantly repeated hand movements on the front wheels of the bicycles. The man to my left prepared the axles. I struck them through the hub, and after I had checked the ball bearings, pulled a greased felt washer over it. The neighbor to my right put on nuts. The next ground down the ends of the spokes, slipped the rubber tires over, inflated them until they were firm, and so forth, until the wheel, all ready to go, arrived at the end of the table, where it was then inserted into the front fork of the frame. It bored me beyond all measure. Yes, the division of labor is indispensable, but that is all the more reason why we may not close our eyes to the joyless, eternal monotony of an occupation which parches the senses and mind, which requires a few uniform muscular movements and so little thought that, to a certain degree, the process takes place beneath the threshold of consciousness. Such work takes into consideration neither the individuality nor the talent of the person, but reduces him to a part of a machine, a mere stopgap necessitated by human ingenuity. Alfred Kolb, 1909. Let me know what you think of this quote in the comment section below. Also, what you liked about this video, and what other historical topics or subjects you'd like to see in future videos. Be sure to click like, share, and especially subscribe, as it will help me bring you more great videos just like this one, and click on that little bell thingy so you'll know when the next History Waits for No One video is posted. If you want to know more, there are recommended studies on this topic in the description below, along with other ways to connect with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the past.